Sunlight streaks across the dark wooden floor, filtering through the cracks in the heavy curtains. It's quiet in Lee and Junho's house. Silence has been here for a long time. It settled within these walls 5 years ago and hasn't left since. Occasionally, it's broken by the creak of a door, the footsteps of a maid, the sound of boiling water for tea. But the main sound is missing here. The voice of a child. Jung-ho sits in a chair in his office. He's not working, he's simply staring ahead. His body is large and strong, filling the chair. He's 29 years old, but his face seems older. He's emotionless. He's used to living this way. He runs many businesses in this city. He has people who listen to him. He has money, respect, and sometimes fear from others. He has everything a man like him could ever need. But in this huge, expensive house, there is only silence. He turns his head and looks toward the living room. There, behind the half-open door, sits his son, Elijah. He's 5 years old. He's sitting on the carpet, assembling a construction set. His small black hands carefully connect the pieces. He's very focused. He doesn't hum, doesn't talk to himself, doesn't call his father over to show him what he's made. Jung-ho looks at him, his son. The boy has dark chocolate skin, like his mother. His eyes are large and serious. His hair is black, soft, slightly curled at the back of his head. He is a beautiful boy, and he is silent, always. The doctors were at a loss. The boy was physically healthy. He heard and understood everything. He followed my instructions, nodded, and sometimes took my hand to lead me somewhere. But he didn't make a sound. No laughter, no crying, no words. Jung-ho stands up. His movements are slow, heavy. He walks into the living room and stops next to him. Elijah looks up at him. His gaze is clear, calm. The boy watches, then looks back down at his details. Jung-ho sits down on the sofa next to her. He wants to say something. "What are you building?" Or, "Are you thirsty?" But the words stick in his throat. Why say them if there's no answer? This silence between them has become a wall, high and solid. He simply sits and watches, as small fingers deftly find the right part. The house is quiet again. Only the large clock in the hallway ticks, measuring the time that passes in silence. The doorbell rings. It's sharp, cutting through the silence. Elijah immediately looks up. Something new appears in his eyes. Anticipation. Jung-ho goes to open the door. He knows who's here. Layla stands in the doorway. She's his ex, the mother of his child. She's 27. She's tall and slender. She's wearing a simple blue dress and a light jacket. Her straight black hair falls over her shoulders, and she's wearing huge sunglasses. They hide half her face. "Hi," she says quietly. Her voice is always like that, soft and a little tired. "I'm here to pick up Elijah." Jung-ho nods and steps aside, letting her in. She enters the hallway. She smells of something fresh, like rain-scented perfume. Not the expensive kind he might buy her, but something simple and light. Elijah is already standing in the living room doorway. He doesn't run toward her, doesn't shout, "Mom!" He just looks, but his whole body is tense, ready to move. "Hello, son," Layla says. She takes off her glasses. And Jung-ho sees what the glasses were meant to hide. There's a shadow under her right eye. Not a bruise yet, no, but the skin there is darker, slightly swollen, as if from pressing hard with her fingers. She quickly lowers her gaze, tucking the glasses into her bag, as if she doesn't want him to notice. "Did everyone have a good weekend?" she asks, speaking more to Jung-ho than to her son. "Yes," he answers briefly. "He built a new construction set, almost all by himself." Layla smiles faintly. "Good job!" She walks over to her son and squats down in front of him. "Get ready, darling. Let's go home." Elijah nods. He takes her hand for a second, then lets go and runs to his room to get his small backpack. Layla straightens up. She stands in the middle of the living room, looking a little lost. She always feels that way in this house, like a guest, like an outsider. "Do you work a lot?" Jung-ho asks, just to say something. "Yes, as usual," she says, looking out the window. There's a lot to do at the firm. He knows she works as a legal assistant in a small law firm. He knows she only has enough money to rent a small apartment and live on. He's offered to help, many times. She always refuses, proud, stubborn. Elijah returns with a backpack. He goes to the coat rack where his jacket hangs. It's a little high. He reaches for it. "Let me help," Layla says, reaching out to take off her jacket. And at that moment, Jung-ho sees it. On the back of her right hand, just below the knuckles, there's a thin red scratch. Long, shallow, as if from a branch or something sharp. It's fresh. His gaze is drawn to the scratch. He sees Layla deftly grab the jacket with her left hand and then immediately lower her right, hiding it. She throws the jacket over Elijah and begins to zip it up. "Tell Daddy bye," she tells the boy. Elijah turns to Jong-ho. He looks at him with his wide eyes. He doesn't wave, he doesn't smile, he just looks. Then he nods slowly. Jong-ho nods in response. Something inside him clenches. Always does when they leave. Layla takes Elijah's hand and heads for the exit. She puts her large glasses back on. Her face is hidden again. "Goodbye," she throws over her shoulder. The door closes. Silence falls in the house again. But now it's different. Now there's an unspoken question hanging in it about that scratch, about the shadow under my eye. Jong-ho stands in the hallway, staring at the closed door. He should go back to his office, get some work done. But his legs won't move. There's a sound behind the door. Layla's muffled voice. And silence. Then her voice again, a little louder, as if she's leaning toward someone. And suddenly, this silence outside is interrupted. A voice is heard. Childish, thin, pure. He pronounces the words slowly, clearly, as if he had been thinking about them for a long time. "Who offended you, Mommy?" Jong-ho freezes in his tracks. His heart beats loudly and hard in his chest, and then seems to stop. Elijah's voice. His son. He's spoken. The words hang in the air of the hallway. They are so clear, so simple, and so terrible. Jong-ho jerks suddenly, grabs the door handle, and swings it open. They stand on the steps in front of the house. Layla is frozen, half-turned. Her hand is still holding Elijah's. Her face, beneath her glasses, is completely stupefied. Her mouth is slightly open in surprise. Elijah stands right in front of her, his head thrown back. He looks at her face, hidden behind her glasses. There's no fear on his small face. No tears. There's only a serious, adult question, and the anticipation of an answer. Jong-ho can't move. He heard. He definitely heard. Those words are forever etched in his memory. His son's first words. Not hello, not daddy, not I'm thirsty, but who hurt you, Mommy? He looks at Layla. He sees her shoulders begin to tremble. He sees her release her son's hand and raise her own to her mouth, as if trying to hold back. What? A scream? Tears? "Elijah!" she breathes out, her voice breaking. The boy doesn't take his eyes off her. He's waiting. Layla makes a sudden movement. She drops down in front of her son and grabs him by the shoulders. Her voice becomes unnaturally high-pitched, strained. "What? No, no, son. Everything is fine. Nobody. Mommy just tripped, hit herself. Everything is fine." She speaks quickly, hurriedly, stroking his head. Then she hugs him, pressing him to herself. But this hug feels abrupt, not like usual. Jong-ho sees her panicked eyes meet his for a second over her son's head, and in them he reads a plea. "Don't ask. Not now, not here." She lets go of Elijah and stands up quickly, her movements jerky and nervous. "We need to go. We're late." She grabs the boy's hand again, this time tighter. Elijah lets himself be led. He looks back at his father. The question in his eyes hasn't disappeared. He's simply shifted it from his mother to his father, as if asking, "Did you hear? Will you help?" "Layla," Jong-ho says. His own voice sounds hoarse, alien. "No, Jong. Everything's fine. Really, it's just, the baby started talking. Wow!" She tries to smile, but it comes out as a grimace. We'll call back. We'll discuss it. Later." And she practically drags Elijah down the driveway to her small old car. She opens the door, sits him in, buckles him in. She gets behind the wheel herself. She doesn't look back toward the house. The car starts and quickly drives away. Jong-ho stands in the doorway, watching her go. That childish voice still rings in his ears. Those simple words that changed everything. The door closes behind him with a dull click. The silence in the house is now deafening. But it's not the same silence anymore. It's filled with the echo of that question. "Who offended you, Mommy?" Jong-ho slowly walks back into the office. He doesn't sit down. He goes to the window and looks out onto the empty road. Something shifts inside him. It's a cold, heavy feeling that creeps from his stomach to his throat. He knows this feeling. It usually comes before an important, dangerous deal. Before a meeting with an enemy. It's a sense of danger. But now it's 1,000 times more acute. Because the danger isn't threatening him. He thinks about the shadow under her eye. About the scratch on her hand. About her oversized glasses on a cloudy day. About her panic. About her lie about tripping. His son, who had remained silent for 5 years, saw what had been hidden from him, and his first impulse was to ask who had hurt his mother. The cold inside Jong-ho thickens. It turns into ice, an icy block of anxiety and anger. Layla had always been strong, proud. She left him because she didn't want to live in his world. She chose a difficult but independent life, and she never, not once, asked him for help, even when things were difficult. And now she's afraid. He saw it. She was frightened by her own child's question. So there is something to be afraid of. Jong-ho turns away from the window. His face becomes stony and impassive again, but his eyes burn with a cold fire. He picks up a simple, unremarkable phone from the table and dials a single number. The phone is picked up after the first ring. Min-jun, a calm voice says from the other side. Min-jun, his right-hand man, the man he trusts most, no longer young, with intelligent, attentive eyes. He's been with Jong-ho for a long time. I need information, Jong-ho says. His voice is even, quiet, but there's a hint of steel in it. About Layla. There's a moment's pause on the other side. Min-jun knows who Layla is, knows everything that happened, and knows that no one has remembered her for years. What exactly? Everything. Where she works now, her exact address, who she hangs out with. Does she have a friend? Any changes in recent months? Anything that seems odd? Got it? Min-jun replies. No unnecessary questions. When do you need it? Yesterday, Jong-ho says and hangs up. He puts the phone down on the table. His gaze falls on a photograph in a silver frame. An old photograph. It's of Layla, laughing, hugging a small, maybe 1-year-old Elijah. The sun is shining on her face, and there are no shadows, only joy. He takes the frame in his hands. He runs his thumb over the glass, over her smile. His son spoke up to ask one question, a question that Jong-ho must now answer. The silence in the house ended. It was replaced by expectation and a quiet, cold determination. Min-jun's report is on the desk 12 hours later. It's thin, just a few pages, but enough information. Jong-ho reads it by the light of a desk lamp, taking every word in. Layla works there, at a small firm called Lawrence and Partners. She arrives at 9 and leaves at 6. Sometimes she works late. Her colleagues are 2 older women and a young intern. There are no conflicts. Her boss, Mr. Lawrence, appreciates her neatness. She lives in the same old building on the outskirts. She rents a small apartment on the 2nd floor. She goes to the store across the street. She takes Elijah to kindergarten. On weekends, they go to the library or the park. A quiet, measured life, just like in a textbook. And then a name appears in the report. David Ross. He appeared in her life 3 months ago. They met at the same supermarket. He helped her carry the heavy bags to the car. He's 32. He works as a manager at a mid-sized car dealership. He lives alone in a new building on the other side of town. He rents. He drives an expensive car, but it's not his own. It's a company car. Min-jun added a photo. David is smiling at the camera. He has blonde hair, a tanned face, and white teeth. He looks like a man from a magazine cover, confident. At first, they met once a week. Coffee, dinner, then more often. For the past few weeks, David has been regularly spending the night at her apartment. He takes Elijah to preschool in the mornings when he stays. Jong-ho puts the pages down. He looks out the dark window. He has no feelings for Layla as a woman. Those feelings died long ago, but she is the mother of his child. She is a part of his life, whether she wants it or not. And her life is now tied to this smiling man named David. There's nothing criminal in the report. No fines, no connections to bad people. A clean record. But the shadow under my eye and the scratch on my hand are bothering me. They don't fit into this clean picture. Jong-ho decides to see for himself. The next day, late in the evening, he gets into a simple gray car. Min-jun is at the wheel. They drive to the law firm building. They stop across the street, in the shade of the trees. He sees people coming out of the glass doors. There she is, Layla. She is wearing a light coat and holding an old leather bag. She looks around, looking for someone. A shiny black sedan turns the corner into the parking lot. It's David. He parks next to her small car and gets out. He's wearing a nice suit. He smiles, walks toward Layla, puts his arm around her shoulders, and kisses her on the cheek. Jong-ho watches, his face expressionless. Layla says something and points to her car. David shakes his head. He says something cheerful, takes her hand, and leads her to his sedan. Layla resists at first, pointing to her car again. She apparently wants to go home to her son. And then David changes. His smile doesn't fade, but it hardens. He says something short, sharp, and his hand drops from her shoulder to her elbow. He doesn't just grab her elbow. He grabs it, sharply, hard. His fingers dig into the fabric of her coat. Jung-ho sees Layla tense up. He sees her trying to free her hand, but his grip is tight. He says something straight to her face, still smiling that cold, even grin. Then he pulls her toward his car and opens the passenger door. Layla freezes for a second. She looks toward her car. Then her shoulders slump. She gives in. She gets into his car without looking at him. David slams the door, walks around the car, and gets behind the wheel. A second later, the black sedan pulls out of the parking lot and disappears into the evening traffic. There's silence in the car. Min-jun stares ahead silently. He's seen it all. Jung-ho doesn't move. He sits in the back seat and stares at the empty space where her car had just been. His insides begin to boil. It's not hot rage, not a scream or a desire to break something right then and there. It's something else. Cold, thick, like black tar. It rises from somewhere deep inside, filling every cell of his body. His fingers slowly clench into fists. His knuckles turn white. This man, this David, he dared to put his hand on her, to grab her, to scare her. Layla is the mother of his son. She raised Elijah alone all these years. She never asked for a penny. She endured his coldness, his world, so that her son would have a father. She is strong, proud, and this nobody, with his manicured hands and false smile, he dares to hurt her, dare to leave marks on her skin, dare to make her afraid. And Elijah, the silent, attentive boy, he saw what was hidden from him, and his quiet world collapsed at this sight. His first word was a question about his mother's pain. Jung-ho feels a cold fury crystallize within him. It becomes hard as diamond, sharp as a blade, and absolutely clear in its purpose. No one has the right. No one in this world has the right to scare them, to harm them. No one. He gives Min-jun the order in a quiet, even voice. No threats in his voice, just the facts. The next evening, when David returns home, they are already waiting. The underground garage of his new house. An expensive place, well lit. David parks his shiny sedan and gets out whistling. He presses the key fob and the car beeps. 3 figures emerge from behind a concrete column. They move silently. 2 young, strong men stand to either side, blocking the exit. And the third, a large man in a dark cloak, walks straight up to David. David freezes, his smile slowly slipping from his face. "David Ross?" Jung-ho asks. His voice is low, calm. "Who are you? What do you want?" David tries to speak confidently, but his voice trembles. He looks around. The garage is empty. "Let's talk," Jung-ho says. He comes very close. He's half a head taller than David, broader in the shoulders. Alone. One of the young men opens the door to the utility room next to the elevator. It's dark and smells of oil and dust. "I'm not going there," David says, retreating to his car. Jung-ho doesn't repeat the request. He simply looks at him. His gaze is flat, empty. There's no threat in that gaze. There's confidence. The confidence of a man who knows his word is law. David swallows. He sees the other 2 standing motionless, like statues. They are silent. He realizes he has no choice. He walks slowly toward the open door. The utility room is small, lit by a single dim light bulb. It contains water pipes and boxes of old things. David presses himself against the wall. "Listen, if this is money, shut your mouth," Jung-ho says quietly. He doesn't raise his voice, but the 2 words sound like the crack of a whip. David falls silent. Jung-ho stands before him. He doesn't draw his weapon, doesn't make any sudden movements. He simply stands and watches. "That's enough." "You're dating Layla," Jung-ho says. It's not a question. David nods, too quickly. "Yes, we're together. Is that illegal?" "You're hurting her," Jung-ho continues, his voice still calm. "What? No! Who told you that? It's a lie." David tries to protest, but his eyes dart around. Jung-ho slowly pulls a photograph out of his coat pocket. A recent photo of Layla, taken with a hidden camera. It shows that same shadow under her eye. He silently shows it to David. David turns pale. She fell, tripped on the bathroom rug. I told her to be careful." "And the scratch on your hand? The carpet too?" David opens his mouth, but no words come out. He sees that his lie is transparent. He sees who stands before him. This isn't a policeman. This isn't a jealous ex who can be deceived or intimidated. Before him stands a power of a different order, quiet and absolute. I didn't mean to," he finally breathes out. His confidence vanishes like smoke. It's just my personality. I lose my temper sometimes. But I love her. You love me, Jong-ho repeats. There's a slight icy disdain in his voice. The very word makes David cringe. Jong-ho takes a step forward. He's very close now. David smells expensive cologne and the cold metallic scent of danger. Listen carefully, Jong-ho says. He pronounces each word clearly, slowly, as if hammering nails. Your meetings with Layla are over. Today, now. You will never approach her again. You will not call. You will not text. You will not wait at her work or at her home. But if I see you within a kilometer of her or her son, Jong-ho continues, ignoring his attempt to interrupt, you'll have an accident. A very serious one. Your company car might lose control, or something heavy might fall on you at that construction site you like to hang out at, or your financial dealings at the car dealership might suddenly become known to your boss and the police. I have many options. All of them are bad for you. David looks at him wide-eyed. He understands these aren't empty threats. This man means everything he says. You can't, Jong-ho cuts him off abruptly. And I will. You are nothing. You are dust. And now you will disappear from their lives forever. You have tonight to gather your things from her apartment. Leave the key under the mat. And if you ever think of her, remember this conversation. Jong-ho takes a step back. He looks at David as if he's looking at something unpleasant that's about to be removed. Did you understand everything? David nods. He can't speak anymore. He just nods, quickly, his body shaking. Jong-ho turns and walks out of the room. The door closes behind him. David is left alone in the semi-darkness, leaning against the cold wall. Jong-ho gets into the car. Min-jun starts the engine, and they quietly drive out of the garage. They drive through the city at night. The car is silent again. But inside, Jong-ho is restless. He did what he had to. He made it clear. He showed strength. A man like David is a coward. He was scared. He'll probably obey, pack his things and disappear. But doubts gnaw at me from within. What if he doesn't listen? What if his pride turns out to be stronger than his fear? He might come to Layla and demand an explanation. He might become even angrier. He might take out his fear on her. And Layla? She doesn't know about his visit. She will wait for David, wondering why he disappeared. What if he returns? With what words? With apologies? With new promises? She is lonely. She is tired. She can forgive. She can believe that he will change. Jong-ho clenches his hand on his knee. His instincts, honed over years in a dangerous world, scream at him. This isn't enough. A warning is weak. It leaves loose ends. It leaves room for error. And the mistake here is her bruises again. And again, his son's silent, reproachful gaze. He can't make that mistake. He can't just hope a coward will remain a coward. He had to be sure, 100% sure, that David wouldn't just leave, that he'd disappear, that he could never, under any circumstances, come back and harm them. Protection must be absolute. But how? How to do this without crossing the line where his own son will fear him? The car pulls up to his house. It's huge, dark, and quiet. He looks at the illuminated windows of the living room where Elijah used to build his construction set. It's empty now. His instincts scream for action, for strength, for a quick and final decision. But something else, new, timid, whispers something else, for caution, for wisdom, for a decision that won't frighten those he's trying to save. He gets out of the car and stands in front of his house, hesitant to go inside, into the familiar silence that no longer brings peace. The next morning, Jong-ho meets with Sophia. She's a distant relative, the daughter of his mother's sister. She's 24. She's studying to be a psychologist and works part-time at a children's center. She has an open face, calm eyes, and a kind smile. She doesn't fit into his world of affairs. She's an ordinary, good girl, and he knows he can trust her. They meet in a small, quiet cafe far from his home. Sophia is already waiting for him at a table. She's a little nervous. She knows who he is in the big city, but he's always been polite and generous to her. Sophia, thank you for coming, he says, sitting down opposite her. It's okay, Jong-ho. You said it was important. It has to do with Elijah, he says, and he sees her face immediately become serious. She loves the boy and visits him sometimes. He tells her everything, about Layla dating someone, about his son speaking up to ask one question, about the shadow under his eye, about his meeting with David. He doesn't go into details, just the fact. Sophia listens without interrupting. Her face grows sadder and sadder. I can't just watch, Sophia. The warning might not work. She's alone. She doesn't trust me. She'll never accept my direct help, he says. His voice sounds tired. I need someone with her. Someone she can confide in. Someone who isn't tied to me. Sophia nods slowly. She understands. What do you want me to do? Meet her. Casually. You just moved to the area, right? Say you're looking for a new cafe or that you're lost. Just be a neighbor, a new friend. Find out what's really going on. And be there. If she's scared, if she needs help, so she knows there's someone to call. Sophia is silent for a moment. She looks into her cup, then she looks up. Okay, I'll do it. For Elijah and for her. Jung-ho feels a weight lift from his shoulders. Thank you. Be careful. Take your time. And anything you see or hear, tell only me. The plan works surprisingly well. A couple of days later, Sophia accidentally meets Layla at the same small cafe near her house. Sophia is sitting at a table with a textbook and a map of the neighborhood, looking confused. She asks Layla, who is standing in line, to help her find the nearest library. Layla helps. They talk for a few minutes. Sophia introduces herself as a new neighbor who just moved in and doesn't know anything. Layla smiles and offers a few tips. She looks tired but friendly. They meet again a few days later at the playground. Sophia is walking with her friend's little niece. Layla is with Elijah. The children are playing in the sandbox nearby. The women are talking. Sophia doesn't push herself. She's just there. She asks easy questions about the neighborhood, about good shops. She tells you a little about herself, her studies, her work with children. She listens more than she speaks. Layla is cautious at first, but Sophia radiates such genuine, calm kindness that the walls gradually crumble. They begin to say hello whenever they see each other. Then they drink coffee together while the children play. Then they go for walks. Sophia never asks about men or her past. She asks about Layla's work, her hobbies, and asks a lot about Elijah. She sincerely admires the way Layla is raising him. She sees a strong woman in Layla, and Layla senses it. A couple of weeks later, Layla invites Sophia over for tea. When they meet at the entrance to the building, Elijah already knows Sophia and allows her to help him take off his jacket. He still says little, but sometimes responds with a nod or monosyllables. He's calm with Sophia. Sophia enters the house. The apartment is small, but very cozy. Clean. Elijah's drawings are on the walls. She feels warmth here, but also a slight sadness, and a tension that hangs in the air like an inaudible hum. One evening, they're walking with the children in the park. Sophia's niece is running with the other children. Elijah is swinging on a swing, and Layla is gently pushing him. It had been a difficult day. Layla was silent, her eyes often staring into space. Sophia simply walked beside her. David's missing, Layla says suddenly. Her voice is quiet, even. He's been gone for 3 days. He doesn't call. He doesn't write. He took his things from the apartment. He left the key under the doormat. Without a word, Sophia remains silent, letting her speak. At first, I thought it was me, that I'd done something wrong. Again. Then I even got scared that something had happened to him. I called his dealership. They said he'd quit. Suddenly, Layla closes her eyes for a second. And then I felt relief. A terrible, guilty relief. She stops and looks at her son on the swing. He wasn't like that, Sophia. At first, he was wonderful, caring. He brought me flowers, took me to nice places. He said we were family. And then, everything started to change. The words pour out of her now, as if a dam had burst. She talks about the little things that at first seemed like care. Him deciding what she should wear, what she should eat, who she should spend time with. Then he began criticizing her work, her friends, of which she had almost none left, her methods of raising Elijah. He said she was too soft, that the boy would grow up to be a softie. Then the outburst started, she whispers. Over nothing. If dinner wasn't as hot as he wanted, if I was 5 minutes late. He didn't hit me, no, she corrects herself, as if she can't believe it. He grabbed me, by the arms, by the shoulders, shaking me. Once he pushed me so hard that I hit the doorframe. That was the bruise, the one Elijah saw. And the scratch. He snatched my bag from my hands when I tried to leave to calm my son, and the strap of the bag cut my hand. Layla hugs herself as if she's cold. And then he always apologized, cried, said he couldn't live without me, that it was because of the stress, that he'd improve, and I believed him, every time, because I was so scared to be alone. Again, she turns to Sophia, tears welling in her eyes, but she's not crying. I'm such a fool. I let this happen. I let my son see this. Sophia puts a hand on her shoulder. You're not stupid, Layla. You were alone. You wanted to be loved. He took advantage of that. It's not your fault. Layla nods, but she doesn't look convinced. And now he's just disappeared. And I don't know what's worse, his presence or this silence. I keep expecting the door to swing open and he'll come back, with apologies, or with anger. In the evening, Sophia calls Jong-ho. They meet in the same quiet cafe. Sophia recounts everything she heard in detail. Her voice trembles with suppressed indignation. He controlled her, Jong-ho, isolated her, intimidated her, and she's still afraid he'll come back. Jong-ho listens. His face is a stony mask, but a storm rages in his eyes. Now he knows everything. His worst suspicions have been confirmed. It was worse than he thought. She's relieved he's gone, but she doesn't understand why. And this fear, it's keeping her from living, says Sophia. He won't come back, Jong-ho says quietly. Too quietly. Sophia looks at him. She guesses that David's disappearance was no accident, but she doesn't ask. She simply says, she needs help, Jong-ho. Not just protection. She needs to know that she's strong, that she can lean on someone, that she's not alone. Jong-ho understands. A warning is a stick, but Layla needs a helping hand, and she won't accept it from him. She's afraid of him. His world frightens her even more than David. Thank you, Sophia. You've done more than I asked. Stay with her. Be her friend. And I'll think about what I can do. Jong-ho thinks all night. He can't open up. He can't come to her himself. It would push her away or frighten her even more. In the morning, he takes a burner phone that can't be tracked. He gets into his car and drives to another part of the city. He stops on a quiet side street and dials her number. Layla picks up the phone on the fourth ring. Her voice is wary. Hello? Layla, says Jong-ho. He changes the timbre of his voice slightly, making it lower, more muffled. Who is this? Les? It doesn't matter. I'm calling to offer help. He hears her breath catch. What help? What are you talking about? I know about David. I know what he did. I know you're afraid of his return. A pause. A long one. Then a whisper, full of fear. Who are you? Are you with him? No. I'm against him. I can guarantee he won't touch you again. But for that, you need to take action too. Call the police. File a report. Call your friends. Call your new friend Sophia. Don't be alone. How do you know about Sophia? Layla's voice grows louder, panic laced in it. What do you want? Money? I don't need anything. I want you and your son to be safe. Nothing more. Get help. Call the police. Today. I can't. I have no proof. It will be my words against him. He denies everything. And then he gets even angrier. He won't be angry. He can't, trust me. But you need to take the first step. For yourself. For Elijah. She is silent. He hears her ragged breathing. Why? Why are you doing this? She finally asks. Because that's how it's supposed to be, says Jong-ho, and hangs up. Layla stands in the middle of the kitchen, holding her phone, which is turned off. Her heart is pounding. Who was it? Some stranger knows everything. Knows about David. Knows about Sophia. The offer sounded sincere, but the fear was stronger. Fear of David, who might return if he found out she'd gone to the police. Fear of this mysterious stranger. Who was he? Why was he helping? What did he want in return? No. She'll cope. She always has. David's gone. Maybe it's forever. She'll just be careful. Change the locks. Pick up Elijah from daycare early. Spend more time with Sophia. Everything will be fine. She won't call anyone. She won't involve anyone. She puts the phone down on the table. Her hands are shaking. She makes a decision. Deny. Deny the help. Deny the danger. Just keep going. She doesn't call the police. She doesn't even call Sophia to tell her about the strange call. She simply tries to forget about it. But the fear doesn't go away. It now has two faces, David's and the stranger's voice on the phone. 3 days pass. Layla begins to calm down a little. David is gone. The stranger no longer calls. Sophia comes to visit. They drink tea, and Layla feels better. In the evening, she puts Elijah to bed. She reads him a story. He listens, his eyes slowly closing. He still doesn't speak much, but occasionally he whispers, "Good night." She goes into the kitchen, drinks water, and suddenly she hears a loud knock on the door. Not a bell, a knock. Rough, insistent. Layla's heart sinks. She goes to the door and looks through the peephole. David. He's standing on the landing. He's not looking through the peephole. He's looking at the floor. His clothes are wrinkled. He smells of alcohol, the scent even coming through the door. His face is red and angry. "Layla, open up! I know you're home!" His voice is hoarse and loud. Layla jumps back from the door, pressing herself against the wall. Her breath catches. He's back, worse than ever. "Open up! Can you hear me? We need to talk. This is all your fault." He starts pounding on the door with his fist. The door rattles on the old lock. Layla looks at the nursery door in horror. Elijah! He shouldn't hear this. He shouldn't see this. "Go away, David. I'll call the police," she screams, her voice breaking with fear. "The police? You? Ha! Open up right now!" The blow gets louder. He starts kicking the door. The wood cracks. Layla realizes the old lock won't hold for much longer. Panic grips her throat. She looks around. The phone. Where's the phone? She rushes into the kitchen. The phone is lying on the table. She grabs it. Her fingers are shaking. She has difficulty hitting the buttons. Who should I call? The police? They won't arrive quickly. And he's almost here. And then she remembers. Sophia. They had an agreement. In case Layla was scared if David showed up, she said, "Just text me one letter S. I'll understand." Layla quickly opens her messages. She finds the chat with Sophia. She types one letter, the Latin S, and sends. At that moment, a loud crash is heard. The door gives way. The lock breaks with a dull metallic sound. The door swings open, slamming against the wall. David stands in the doorway, his eyes cloudy and furious. He steps inside. "There you are," he says hoarsely. Layla retreats to the wall, clutching the phone behind her back. She sent the signal, but will Sophia make it in time? Will anyone make it in time? She looks at the nursery door. It's closed. Thank God, it's closed. "Go away, David, please," she whispers, but he is already walking towards her. Sophia is sitting at home, reading a book. Her phone is lying next to her on the couch. It vibrates briefly once. She looks at the screen. A message from Layla. One letter. S. All the blood drains from Sophia's face. She immediately jumps up. SSS. It's a signal. That means David is there, or something terrible. She doesn't write back. She doesn't call Layla. She has strict instructions for this. She immediately dials Jong-ho's number. He picks up the phone on the first ring. S. Sophia breathes into the phone. There's no need to say anything else. It's the code word they've discussed. It means extreme danger. There was a moment of silence on the other side. Then Jong-ho's voice, hard and cold as ice. "Her address, now!" Sophia gives out an address that she already knows by heart. "Stay home. Don't go anywhere," says Jong-ho and hangs up. Sophia stands in the middle of the room, clutching her phone. She prays they'll make it in time. Jong-ho is in his office. He's awake. He's been waiting for this call. He knew that a coward backed into a corner becomes dangerous. He takes off in one movement. He dials Min-jun's number. "Car, right now. We're going to Layla's. Take both of you." He's already on the stairs when he hears the engine of a black SUV starting up below. Min-jun is at the wheel. Two young men are already sitting in the back seat. Their faces are serious. Jong-ho climbs into the front passenger seat. Quickly, but without breaking the rules. The car pulls out of the gate and races through the night streets. Min-jun knows the city like the back of his hand. He chooses short, dark alleys, avoiding traffic lights. Jong-ho is silent. He looks ahead. His hands are clenched into fists on his lap. One thought is running through his head. Make it! Make it! Make it! They arrive at Layla's house 7 minutes away. The car stops in the dark, around the corner, out of sight. Jong-ho is the first one out. He looks up at the window of her second-floor apartment. The light is on, and he sees shadows behind the curtain. 2 shadows. One retreats. The other moves toward her. He's already running toward the entrance. Min-jun and the other 2 are behind him. Their footsteps are almost inaudible. The door to the building is unlocked. Jong-ho rushes inside, leaping up the stairs to the second floor in 2 leaps. He sees the broken door to her apartment. It's open inward, the lock hanging by one hinge. David's voice comes from inside. Rough, drunk. "Did you think it was that easy to escape from me? Who helped you, huh? Who put you up to this?" And Layla's quiet, terrified voice. "Leave me alone. Go away." Jong-ho steps over the threshold. The picture before him is as clear as day. Layla is pressed against the wall in the kitchen, her eyes wide with fear. David stands in front of her, his back to the door. He raises his arm to grab her hand. Everything happens in a matter of moments. Jong-ho's men silently circle around David, moving quickly and efficiently. David hears footsteps and turns around. His face first shows anger, then confusion, then primal fear. He sees Jung-ho in the doorway. He opens his mouth to shout something, but doesn't have time. One of the young men deftly and forcefully grabs his arm, which he's raising above Layla, and twists it behind his back. The second one immediately places his hand on his shoulder and neck, pinning him and immobilizing him. Everything is done without shouting, without unnecessary noise, only sharp exhalations, the scraping of shoes on the floor, and the wheezing of David, who can't move. Jong-ho walks past them without looking. He goes straight to Layla. Layla looks at him. Her eyes are filled with confusion, then understanding, and finally a flood of tears. She's not sobbing. The tears are simply streaming silently down her face. She's shaking all over. "Elijah?" is the first thing Jong-ho asks. His voice is quiet but firm. Layla nods toward the closed door. "There. Sleeping." At that moment, the door to the nursery opened slightly. A small face appeared in the crack. Elijah. He was awake. He had heard everything. His large eyes looked first at his mother, then at his father, then at David, who was being held by two strangers. There are no tears in his eyes, only a deep, unchildlike seriousness, and a question. "It's okay, son," Jong-ho says, looking straight at him. "It's over." He turns to Min-jun, who's standing in the doorway. "Take him down. Sort this out, so he'll forget the way back here. Forever." Min-jun nods. Two young men quickly and silently lead David out of the apartment. He doesn't resist. He can no longer speak. He's just a pale, trembling bundle of fear. When they leave, silence falls in the apartment. The broken door creaks in the wind. Layla suddenly slides down the wall to the floor. She hugs her knees and hides her face. Her shoulders are shaking. Jong-ho approaches her and squats down next to her. He doesn't touch her. "Layla, listen to me. You can't stay here. He might come back, or send someone. You need to leave. Now." She looks up at him with a tear-stained face. "Where to?" "To my place. To the country house. It's safe there. No one will find you." She hesitates. The fear of him, of his world, is still strong. "Mommy?" A quiet voice sounds nearby. Elijah came up to them. He stood and looked at his mother. Then he placed his small hand on her shoulder. This simple gesture makes all the difference. Layla closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and nods. "Okay, let's go." 20 minutes later, they're sitting in the car. Elijah is in the back seat, already falling asleep from exhaustion and shock, covered with a blanket. Layla looks out the dark window. They're driving out of town, along an empty road. The silence in the car is oppressive. "It was you," Layla says suddenly. She doesn't look at him. That call, that unfamiliar voice. Jung-ho is silent. This is confirmation. "And Sophia? She's yours too? She's my relative. I asked her to stay by your side. I was afraid the warning wouldn't be enough," he says honestly. Layla turns to him. Her eyes no longer reflect fear, but anger, mixed with pain and relief. "You followed me. You sent a spy after me. You controlled my life. I was trying to protect you." His voice breaks with tension for the first time. "You wouldn't accept my help. You wouldn't even tell me he was hurting you. I only found out because our son—" He breaks off, looking at the sleeping Elijah. "Because our son spoke up to ask who hurt you," he finishes more quietly. "What was I supposed to do, Layla? Wait until things got worse? You could have just come and talked. Would you believe me? Would you tell me? Would you accept my help?" he asks. And there's no reproach in his questions. There's weariness. Layla turns back to the window. She knows the answer. No. She wouldn't believe it. She wouldn't tell it. She wouldn't accept it. Because he is Jong-ho. Because his world is darkness and danger to her. "You had no right anyway," she whispers. But the anger in her voice is already dissolving into weariness. "I know," he says. "But I didn't see any other way out. And right now, I see only one way out. To make sure you're safe. Everything else we'll discuss later." They arrive at a country house. It's a large but unpretentious building, surrounded by a high fence and trees. Inside, it's warm and quiet. The maid, an elderly woman, shows Layla and Elijah their rooms. She's quiet and professional. Elijah is placed in a spacious, bright room with toys that someone has already set out. He falls asleep almost instantly, holding his mother's hand. Layla comes into the living room. Jong-ho is standing by the fireplace, where a fire is burning. He has taken off his coat. He looks tired. "Thank you," Layla says, surprising herself. She sits down in a chair by the fire. "Whatever it was, you came. You stopped it." Jong-ho nods. "I had to." They are silent. listening to the crackling of the wood. Your world, Layla begins. I've always been afraid of it. Afraid it would consume me, and most importantly, that it would consume our son. Jong-ho turns to face her. His face seems less stern in the firelight. I know. And you were right. Back then. I was a different person. My world was power, business, duty. And you were something separate. Something fragile that I didn't know how to hold. He pauses, looking at the fire. But now everything is different. My world is his safety now. And yours. Everything else. It doesn't matter. Deeds, power, they're just tools. To protect you. To create silence around you. True silence. Without fear. Layla looks at him. She hears the sincerity in his words. It's not a nice gesture. It's a statement of fact. He's rebuilt his entire universe around a single question from a 5-year-old boy. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive these methods. The surveillance, the manipulation, she says honestly. I don't apologize for my methods. I ask for understanding. Understanding that I didn't know any other way. But I want to learn. Find another way. If you give me a chance. Not as a man, but as the father of our son. As an ally. It was the most honest thing he had ever said to her. In the morning, they have breakfast in the sunny dining room. Elijah eats his porridge in silence, but his eyes constantly flicker from his mother to his father. He feels the tension, but also the safety of those thick walls. After breakfast, Jong-ho talks about the rules. You'll live here until I'm 100% sure the danger has passed. David's no longer a problem, but we need to be sure he doesn't have any friends who'll decide to avenge him. Min-jun is doing that. Layla nods. She doesn't argue. There will always be security here. Discreet. They won't bother you, but they will be here on the grounds. For you and for Elijah. What about my job? Kindergarten? Asks Layla. I'll talk to your boss. I'll tell him you have a family emergency. He'll give you time off. Don't worry about kindergarten. There's a teacher there for Elijah. Or Sophia, if you prefer. She can come. Layla understands that everything is planned. He is not locking them away. He is creating a fortress. How long? She asks. I don't know. I won't be sure until then. A week, maybe 2, maybe a month. It doesn't depend on me, but on the situation outside. She nods again. She feels simultaneously trapped and protected. It's a strange, ambivalent feeling. Several days pass. Life in the house settles into a calm, measured routine. Elijah initially avoids his father. He remembers him as a quiet, distant man who would come occasionally and simply observe. But now father is here. Every day. He has breakfast with them. He sometimes walks with them in the garden. He doesn't try to impose himself. He just is. And one evening, when Jong-ho is sitting in the library reading the newspaper, Elijah enters the room. He approaches the large armchair in which his father is sitting and looks at him. Jong-ho lowers the newspaper. Hello, son. Elijah is silent for a moment. Then he speaks, quietly but clearly. Did you drive away the bad man? Jong-ho puts down the newspaper. He looks at his son seriously. Yes. I sent him away. He won't come back. Why was he bad? Is the next question. Because he hurt your mother. And because he scared her. And hurting and scaring those who are weaker is bad. Always. Elijah nods as if that's a logical explanation. Are you strong? Jong-ho thinks. I try to be strong. To protect those I care about. Mommy is dear to me, says Elijah. Jong-ho says, unexpectedly. He doesn't mean love. He means its value. Its importance. Elijah comes closer. He looks at the thick, leather-bound book on the table. What is this? This is an atlas. Maps of the world. Would you like to see it? Elijah nods. Jong-ho takes him onto his lap and opens the heavy book. He shows countries, oceans, answers simple questions. What's here? Is it cold there? Layla stands in the doorway and watches them. She sees her son, who has remained silent his entire life, now asking questions. And she sees her father, who has always been a stone wall, now struggling to find simple answers. Something melts in her heart. The anger and resentment haven't yet gone away, but alongside them, a tiny, fragile hope appears. They've been living in the country house for a week now. The silence here is different. It's not oppressive, not frightening. It's soft, filled with the sounds of the forest outside the window and the occasional voice. Layla notices changes in her son. Elijah talks more and more. At first, it was simple questions for his father. Then he began telling his mother about things he saw in the garden. A bug, a bird's nest. His voice is quiet, but confident. It's as if he's making up for lost time. One evening, the three of them are sitting in the living room. Elijah is drawing on a large sheet of paper. Jung-ho is reading something on his tablet, but his gaze keeps drifting away from the screen and resting on his son. Layla is knitting. She had long ago abandoned this, but now her hands find their way back to their natural motion. "Mom, look," Elijah says. He shows me a drawing. It shows 3 figures, a large one, a medium one, and a small one. They stand next to each other, holding hands. The figures are painted different colors, but they all have eyes and smiles. "It's beautiful, son," Layla says, her voice shaking slightly. She looks at the drawing, then at Jung-ho. He looks at the drawing too. His face is inscrutable, but something flashes in his eyes. He puts down the tablet and comes closer. "Did you draw us?" Elijah nods. "That's us, the house, and the bird on the roof." Jung-ho stares at the drawing for a long time. Then he says, addressing Layla but looking at his son, "I never thought I'd see something like this." His words hang in the air. They are full of old pain, pain from all the lost years, from all the days when his son couldn't say a word. Layla puts down her knitting. "Me too," she says quietly. "I was afraid that he would remain in his world, alone." "It's my fault," Jung-ho says. He doesn't look at her. "My world was too dangerous. You were right to take it away." Layla is silent. She didn't expect such a confession. It's disarming. "I didn't take him away from you, Jung," she says finally. "I took him away from that life, from the fear it brought. I saw you changing, how your business was sucking you in. I was afraid that one day that fear would come to our door." "He came," says Jung-ho, "but not from the direction I expected." This conversation is the first step. They don't go into details. They don't bring up old arguments, anger, or resentments. They simply state the facts. They acknowledge their mistakes. Looking at the picture their son drew of them all together makes this a little easier. The next day, the 3 of them are walking through the forest. Elijah runs ahead, collecting pine cones. Layla and Jung-ho follow behind. There's an awkward silence between them, but it's not as heavy. "Thank you for not asking for details about that time with David," Layla suddenly says. "It's none of my business. If you want, you can tell me," he says. I was so lonely, Jung, and so tired of being strong all the time. He showed up when I was about to give up. He seemed so reliable. People like that often look like that," he quietly remarks. She nods. "I know. Now I know. This isn't reconciliation. It's a careful, step-by-step healing of wounds. Each such conversation is like cleaning an old wound. It's painful, but it's necessary for it to finally heal." 2 weeks later, Min-jun brings news. They are sitting in Jung-ho's office at the country house. "It's all set," Min-jun says. He places several newspaper clippings on the table. "David Ross has been arrested, yesterday." Jung-ho picks up the newspapers. In the photo, David, no longer smiling, his eyes frightened, is being led into the courthouse. The headlines scream about financial fraud, car dealership customer fraud, and document forgery. The sums involved are large. He faces a long prison sentence. "How?" Jung-ho asks, although he already guesses. "Our people found dissatisfied clients, helped them unite, provided lawyers, found the financial transactions he was trying to hide. Everything was clean. Everything was legal. He made his own mistakes. We simply brought them to light," explains Min-jun with a slight smile. Jung-ho nods. That's his style. Not brute force, but a precise strike, using the enemy's weaknesses against them. David boasted of his cunning, his connections. Now those same connections have turned against him. What awaits him isn't physical violence, but a prison cell for many years. He'll think about his mistakes for a long time, and he won't have the opportunity to take revenge on anyone, says Min-jun. "Good job," Jung-ho says. He feels satisfaction. Pure, cold. The threat is neutralized, finally. That evening, he tells Layla about it. They're sitting on the terrace. Elijah is already asleep. Layla listens, her face serious. "Prison?" she asks again. "Yes, for a long time. According to the law." She looks out into the dark garden. "I don't know how to feel about this. I'm glad he can't come to anyone. But, prison, it's terrible. He made his choice, Layla. Not just with you. He deceived people, stole their money. These are the consequences of his actions, not our revenge." She understands. This isn't just protection. It's justice. Even if it came about in an unusual way, she feels the last chains of fear release. He really won't come back. Never. So, the danger has passed? She asks. Yes, says Jung-ho. Min-jun, I'm sure. It's over. You can return to your life whenever you want. He speaks evenly, but something inside him tightens. He's gotten used to their presence. To breakfast together, to the evening silence, which no longer frightens him, to his son's drawings on the refrigerator. Layla looks at him. She sees the contraction. She feels it. She simply nods. Okay, I'll think about it. Layla can't sleep. She lies in her spacious room and stares at the ceiling. Choice. She could go back to her small apartment. She'd already called the landlord, and he'd agreed to fix the door. She could go back to work. Mr. Lawrence had been understanding about her family circumstances. She could pick up Elijah from daycare, live her old, quiet, lonely life. A life where everything was simple and clear, where she didn't owe anyone anything, where she was completely independent. Or she could let this new reality stay. Not here, not in this big house, but in their lives. Let Jung-ho be a father. Not just someone who pays child support and visits occasionally, but a real father. Someone who picks up his son for the weekend. Someone who calls to ask how school is going. Someone who will be there if things get scary again. But what does this mean for her? It means letting him back into her life. Not as a husband, no. That feeling is gone. But as an ally. As part of the family. It means accepting his help, trusting him. It means accepting that she can't always be strong in everything. That sometimes she needs to lean on someone. And his world, his affairs. He said his world is their safety now. Can she believe it? Can she risk it, knowing what he does? She thinks about Elijah, about how the boy has blossomed in these past weeks, how he reaches out to his father, how he has started talking. He needs a father, a real one. And Jung-ho seems to be sincerely trying to be one. He patiently answers all the questions. He has learned to play simple board games. He reads his son bedtime stories, and his low, even voice lulls the boy to sleep. For Elijah, the choice is obvious. And for her, in the morning, she tells Jung-ho that she wants to go back to the city for a day. Alone. To think. To get a feel for her old life. He doesn't ask anything, just nods and says the car is at her service. She drives to her apartment. The door is new, sturdy. Inside, everything is just as she left it. Only the smell of dust remains. She walks through the rooms. She remembers the fear of that night, but she also remembers the long, quiet evenings alone with her son, her independence. She calls Sophia. They meet at a cafe. A real warm hug from a friend. Sophia doesn't ask about anything, just listens as Layla talks about her confusion. He's changed, Layla, Sophia finally says. I don't condone his methods, but I see the way he looks at Elijah. He's a completely different man. He's found his footing, and that footing is you. Layla returns to the country house in the evening. She hasn't made a decision. She's even more confused. She finds Jung-ho and Elijah in the living room. They're building a huge tower of wooden blocks. The tower is almost to the ceiling, swaying. They both stare at it intently. Another one? Jung-ho asks. Careful, Elijah whispers. Jung-ho places the last cube. The tower stands. They watch it, holding their breath. And then Elijah notices his mother in the doorway. He smiles. Mom, look! At this point, the tower, as if waiting for the viewer, begins to slowly tilt. The cubes crash to the floor. Elijah isn't scared. He laughs, loudly, truly. The sound fills the room. Jung-ho looks at his son, and something surprising appears on his face. A slight, hesitant smile. He hears his son laugh for the first time. Layla stands and looks at them. At her son, laughing among the rubble of the tower. At his father, looking at him as if he were a miracle. And then she understands. She's not choosing between her old life and her new one. She's choosing for her son, for his laughter, for his voice, for his right to have a father. Elijah stops laughing. He looks at the scattered blocks, then at his mother, then at his father. He walks over to them, stands between them. He takes their hands. His small palms are warm and confident. He looks from one to the other, his face serious. Will we be together again tomorrow? He asks. A simple, childish question. There's no doubt in it, no fear, only anticipation. Anticipation that this new reality isn't a dream, that it will continue. Jung-ho looks at Layla. His eyes ask the same question, silently. Layla feels the last walls of fear and resentment crumble within her, like that wooden tower. Something new is emerging in their place, fragile, but real. She squeezes her son's hand. She looks at Jung-ho and nods slowly. almost imperceptibly, and then she answers. Not to him, to her son. Yes, honey, we will. Jong-ho says nothing. He simply clasps the small hand in his large one. His response is also silence, but this time it's completely different. It's filled not with emptiness, but with meaning. And in the room where only recently the silence of despair reigned, voices now resound. A child's laughter, a mother's quiet, yes, and a father's silent promise, louder than any words. The next day, they have breakfast in the same sunny dining room, but everything looks different now. Layla doesn't feel like a prisoner or a guest. She feels like a person who has made a decision. I want to go back to my apartment, she says over coffee, but I don't want it to end. Jong-ho puts down his spoon. He waits. Elijah needs to see you, regularly, more than just once a month. I want you to take him to the park, help him with his homework when he starts school, to be a father. I want this more than anything, he says quietly. And I don't know what will happen between us, Jong. Friendship? Too much of a past. Just parents of the same child? Perhaps. But I'm willing to try to trust, at least a little. This is a huge step for her. He understands it. He nods. I won't rush you. In anything. We'll move at a pace that's comfortable for you and Elijah. They agree on simple, clear rules. Elijah will spend every weekend with his father, and one evening during the week, say Wednesday, to simply have dinner together. Jong-ho will pick him up from preschool and then take him home to Layla. He offers to move her to a safer neighborhood, to a nicer apartment. She refuses, for now, but she agrees to help him install a new, state-of-the-art security system in her old door. And he gives her a phone number she can call 24/7 if anything happens. Not his personal number, but Min-jun is. It's a compromise she's not afraid of. A couple of days later, they return to the city. Elijah says goodbye to the big house and garden without sadness, because he knows he'll be back on Saturday. Layla enters her clean, renovated apartment. The smell of dust has disappeared. Now it smells of fresh paint and the coffee Sophia brewed for them. Her friend is waiting for her with hugs and pie. Life is slowly returning to normal, but it's not the same as before. On the very first Wednesday, Jong-ho arrives to pick up Elijah at 5 o'clock sharp. He stands at the door in a simple, dark jacket, without an entourage, without the expensive car parked outside. He left it around the corner. He looks almost like an ordinary father. Elijah runs toward him, holding the drawing he wants to show her. Layla hands him his small backpack. Their fingers don't touch, but their eyes meet for a second. In his eyes, gratitude. In hers, cautious trust. They leave. Layla closes the door. She's alone in the apartment. Silence. But it's not the silence that weighed on her a week ago. This is the silence of respite. A silence in which she can think about the future without panic. Later, Jong-ho brings Elijah home at 8. The boy is a little sleepy, but his eyes are bright. He ate pizza and watched dinosaur cartoons. His father showed him how to build a model airplane. Good night, son, says Jong-ho at the door. Good night, Dad, replies Elijah. The word daddy sounds natural, as if he always said it. Jong-ho pauses for a second, then simply nods and descends the stairs. Layla puts Elijah to bed. Did you like it? She asks. Yes, he says, drifting off to sleep. He knows a lot about dinosaurs. Layla walks into the kitchen. Her phone is on the table. It's vibrating. One message, from an unfamiliar number, but she immediately knows who it's from. Thank you for today. Nothing more. She doesn't reply, but she doesn't delete the message either. She puts her phone on charge and looks out the dark window, at the reflection of her apartment, which now seems a little brighter. The road ahead will be long, full of awkward pauses, old memories, and new, unfamiliar boundaries. But for the first time in many years, this path doesn't feel like a road to nowhere. For the first time, there's not just survival ahead, but some elusive possibility. The possibility of a different life, for her, and most importantly, for her son. And this is the beginning. A month passes. The rhythm becomes familiar. Wednesdays and weekends are with his father. Elijah talks more and more. Even in kindergarten, he talks about his dad, who knows everything. Layla returns to work. The fear recedes, leaving behind fatigue and a desire to live peacefully. One Friday evening, Jong-ho brings his son home. He notices textbooks on Layla's desk. She's looking to get a new qualification at her law firm. Is it hard to juggle work and a child? He asks. Yes, she answers honestly, but I can handle it. The following Wednesday, when he picks Elijah up, He hands her an envelope. This isn't money. These are the contacts for a tutor. A really good one. He teaches online in the evenings. If you want. She looks at the envelope, then at him. The old pride stirs inside, but fades. This isn't control. It's a helping hand that doesn't require biting off. She takes the envelope. Thank you. I'll think about it. Okay, he says, and walks away holding Elijah's hand. Layla stands in the doorway, watching them go. She feels a strange warmth where the old, icy block of resentment had been. Perhaps this is that very trust. Very small, the size of an envelope, but real, and it seems mutual.